Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Engineering Influence by the American Council of Engineering Companies. My name is Shreya, and I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator here at ACEC National. And I'm so pleased to have here with me the VP of Product Management from Deltek, Bret Tushaus. Welcome, Bret. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. Appreciate it very much.
Of course. So let's just dive right in. What new technologies at Deltek are you looking forward to and are you excited about?
Well, obviously, artificial intelligence is everywhere these days. So we're really doubling down on that type of technology. And it's interesting. We're trying to focus on sort of purposefully innovating around AI because there's a lot you can do with AI that's may have the cool factor, but we're trying to add value for our customers and whatnot. So we're really focused on things that are going to bring new value to our organizations that are using our solutions. And one of the things that we're very focused on is the great things about a lot of our solutions is there's a ton of rich data in there. It's a byproduct of our customers using our tools to execute their projects. So as a result, we have a great amount of information about project performance, about projects that our companies have worked on, about the employees and their capabilities and experience. So, transforming that content, that data, into smart content and also using that data to drive insights and decision making and that sort of thing is really what we're focused on because as cliche as it may sound, data is the new oil. Well, our tools have a lot of data in them, so we can definitely use that in a valuable way using AI or applying AI for our customers. So that's really what we're focused on and doubling down on in that regard.
That's awesome. And what do you say to like the data skeptics who are, very hesitant about AI stealing all my data and they know everything about me?
It's a fair question. I mean, you can't talk about artificial intelligence these days, especially in the context of generative AI, without sort of coming across the data question, the data privacy question, the security question. And we understand that is super important to our customers. And keeping their data as their data is critical. So one of the things that I think is great about the way we've implemented specifically our generative AI tools is, we're using platforms that have that data protection built in. We're reliant on Microsoft Azure's OpenAI platform and using that in a way that the data that we're giving it isn't being used to train models. The data that we're giving it is staying sort of within a customer's container, so we're never blending customer data in any way. And the nice thing about sort of embedding this in our solutions is it gives our customers the assurance that, hey, Deltek is delivering this in a secure, in a data privacy sensitive way, and they don't really have to think about it quite as much because in that case, we're the trusted vendor to make sure that we come to market that way. So it's definitely something that's on our customers' minds, and I feel like we've got a pretty good position in that regard in terms of how we're implementing these types of tools.
Yeah, I mean, towing that line is so important with all of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
Especially when you're like trying to work in products and marketing and all of that, making sure that people feel safe and comfortable using your product. But what about that product is it that you think is so appealing to AEC or engineering firms that you think is like the best feature?
Well, I'd have to say that, sort of reflecting back on what I said before, our tools have a lot of data in them, and we know that our clients deliver projects every day. That's what they're focused on. They're delivering projects. And project performance, project manager performance leads to successful projects. A good project manager, a well-equipped project manager leads to successful projects, which obviously drives organizational success as well as happy clients and that type of thing. So I think one of the most resonant components that we bring to market is really equipping project managers with the right tools, the right data, the right technology or artificial intelligence capabilities for them to be able to manage their projects. When it comes to building project plans, when it comes to looking at how a project is trending, either in a good direction or a bad direction, and if it is going in a bad direction, to be able to course correct so that the project ends up in a good spot. We have all of these indicators and signals and whatnot that we can sort of pull from our data to inform the project manager, like, here's a red flag on this project, something that might require your attention. Here's something that's going on with this client that might require your attention. So I think, that's, like I said, I think that's probably the most resonant component in relation to some of the newer AI-based technology that we're looking at within our tools.
Awesome. Yeah. And how do you think firms are really able to capitalize on like this personal sort of experience that they get?
So I think the best way to answer that, as cliche as it may sound, is garbage in, garbage out. Um, you know, the cliche I used before, data is the new oil, I think is important here because if you're not getting the data into the system, data is not going to do you any good, right? And it's not just getting the data in the system; it's also using the tools in the way they were intended to be used. Because if you're using tools like ERP solutions like Deltek bring to market in the way they're intended to be used, or project management tools in the way they're intended to be used, you are building up that data that then you can leverage to make yourself smarter, to make your project managers better down the road. One of the common questions I get from companies and customers that we're talking to is, I'm not sure where to start. Where do I start when it comes to looking at emerging technology and things like artificial intelligence? And one of the first things I always tell people is look at the tools you already have in place. I would bet that you could, use a part of one of the tools you already have in a more extensive, better way. There might be parts of that tool that you're not using at all. You've already invested in it. You already own it. So make sure you're using the tools you already have in place in the best way possible, because that's going to drive your ability to innovate and, like I said, be smarter about how you can use that system down the road. So I think that's a sort of a great, piece of advice in terms of a starting point, but it's also to your question, how do you ensure people are getting the most out of these systems?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even just basic websites we use are updating and upgrading every day. And, we all skip those little tours where it says explore our new capabilities, but
Yeah,
actually using those and capitalizing on those would probably make a huge difference.
definitely. Technology moves very, very quickly, and it seems like it's just speeding up. So yeah, keeping up with it is tricky, but it's something you just got to pay attention to because there might be that one nugget that you're not using or aware of that could pay big dividends for your company.
Absolutely, for sure. And, in line with keeping up with how fast technology is changing, if you were to sort of crystal ball it for a second, where do you think the future of these solutions and AI is leading towards?
So I think if I had to sort of pull out maybe one nugget in that regard, I think it's sort of the rise of the agent, if you will. What ChatGPT's been on the scene now for we're going on 2 years, and obviously a ton of other similar type generative AI tools have come to being as well. But I think what we're going to see next, and we're already starting to see this, but I think it's really going to sort of gain a lot of traction, is this concept of an agent. So you're not using generative AI to just create some great content or pull out some information or summarize or distill, something, but instead you're using generative AI to take action for you. So there's lots of tools out there that allow you to build workflows in a natural language way. When this happens, do this. When this happens, do this. So the ability to create those types of workflows through generative AI in a natural language way and putting in the hands of sort of an everyday user, I think is going to be very powerful. So the ability for these types of technology to take action, to complete tasks on behalf of users, that's really the concept I'm describing when I say the rise of the agent. And I think that's going to be a pretty powerful next iteration, next phase in the world of generative AI.
That sounds very promising. And ACEC, you're going to be working in collaboration with ACEC and hosting a class on being tech savvy. You'll be presenting there. Would you like to give the people who are attending that class a little bit of forethought on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things I like to talk most about with the companies I come across is making technology accessible. You look at things like AI, you look at things like the buzz phrase of digital transformation, how important it all is, and that sort of thing. And I think a lot of organizations, especially those on the smaller side, but even some bigger ones, tend to get a little bit intimidated and overwhelmed with that, and not know where to start. And they often think it's this giant initiative that's going to cost millions of dollars and take years to sort of work through. And the message I like to bring to the table is there's no discrete beginning and end to digital transformation. It's a journey. And there are little steps, big steps, medium steps that companies can take along the way and gain benefits from immediately. So I like to, like I said, reinforce. It's not this big, giant, overwhelming thing. Start small. Start with use cases that bring value to your organization. Pick technologies that are accessible because there's a lot out there. Technology is more accessible than it's ever been. And I really like to reinforce that because you get those small wins. You use that one piece of tech that pays dividends for you, and you can use that as a foundation to build on other things and gain some momentum, and then do some other digitally transformative things. So that's what you'll hear about in that session. And again, it's something I really like to reinforce when companies come to me and say, "Boy, where do I start?"
That's awesome. And for people and companies looking to start their journeys with Deltek and the solutions that they provide, where can they get more information on that?
Well, lots of different places. Obviously, our website, our blog, the Project Nation blog. We do our town halls for various products on a quarterly basis. Another great place to get information on what Deltek's doing, and we're trying to shine a bright light on some of these new things that we're doing, specifically around artificial intelligence. So customers know that feature's out there and that they can start using it and get some advantage from it.
Is there anything else we should discuss before we wrap up?
I think we're good. I think we covered sort of all the most resonant points, definitely.
Okay, thank you so much for your time and thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.